Now, the choice of a life partner is something you and I don't know or have control over. You don't know who you will end up with until that time appointed by God Himself comes. So, be careful how you treat the opposite sex. As a lady, be careful not to be rude to that man that you come across no matter what. Don't be a runs girl either, jumping from one man to the other to get financial benefits. One of these men might be your destined spouse. You don't know. When the time comes for him to wife you, due to the kind of encounter he had or is having with you, he might just let go of you. Or agree with the union but will treat you with great hatred throughout your marriage. And what you are supposed to enjoy, you will end up enduring it due to how you disrespect him at first. It might be that he is not financially buoyant enough as it stands, and because of that you maltreat him and treat him like a nobody. Just like I said earlier, as you go along living your life, you don't know that what tomorrow has in stock for you. Therefore, be careful to treat every man with the accorded respect he deserves. You can never tell if he ends up being your husband tomorrow, and or if God decided to change his story. Just like it was in a story I read some time ago of a lady who has many suitors coming to have her hand in marriage. 2 out of the many seemed to be more serious with her. Now, out of these 2, one was a kind of wealthy compared to the other, who could not even pay and has to transport himself from where he stays to where she lives because he doesn't have money. As time goes by, the lady despises the poor young man. She keeps treating him badly and always calls him names. As life goes on, it was discovered that guy who possessed as being rich was just a mere driver who had nothing. Later on, it was however found out that the poor man was a prince. By that time, it was late for her. Had it been she treated him well and respected him, the story would have been a different one. So, it is with the men, treat every lady you come across with respect. Respect both her body and her personality. Do not be jumping from one shore to the other. It is dangerous not just to your health, it is also not good for your life and destiny. Respect her as though she is yours already, so that your fellow man who is probably with your wife currently will also respect her. For the Bible wasn't joking when it says, "With the measure you measure for others, the same measure shall be measured for you too." The Bible is your guide to everything in life. For us to make it right in life, we must study and know what the Bible is saying concerning life. Whatever you think you need to know and study, and what is written inside of it. Something you don't know cannot control you. You have to get the understanding of the Bible enough. With the understanding, you can be able to apply what it says and make a good living. As a young man or woman who is a believer, do not inculcate the habit of ignoring people who show signs of love towards you. This is because love is a strong feeling which could at times backfire on you. If there is a young man who has been clicking around you and showing interest in you, and you don't feel the same for him, please let him know politely and respectably in that way. You are displaying the fact that you are a child of God. For God commands that we do just as He treated people, and so through that, the world may come to see how good of a father He is to us. Don't be among those girls that disrespect and ignore a person simply because he has feelings for you. And as a young man too, that sister that has feelings for you and has been showing signs, do not look down at her. Instead, if you don't feel the same way, let respectfully go of her. Don't use that opportunity to mistreat and take advantage of her. Instead, be a child of God by letting them know amicably. Joseph treated Mary with respect, and in the end, they become couples who had to live their lives together forever. That brother or sister might be your spouse, so be careful how you treat them, because nobody knows what tomorrow has in stock for you and I. May God help us all treat each other as brothers with their sisters, and as sisters with their brothers. One thing that is so mysterious about this life is that nobody knows tomorrow except for the Maker himself. As humans go about their daily endeavors, no one knows what will happen to him or them, even in the nearest seconds to come. Human relationships is one thing that God encourages us to hold so dear apart from His love in our hearts. No wonder even the 10 Commandments are split into 2 engagements. The part guiding the dealings between us and God, and another part guiding our dealings with our fellow humans. Our Lord Jesus Christ, when He was on earth, made sure He had a good and smooth relationship with the people around Him despite His splendor and power, to the extent that when He was hanging on the cross, people gathered around and were crying for Him. 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 17 says, "Honor all people, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king." Another verse said, "Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Give preference to one another in honoring everyone in a special way and manner." Let's learn to treat each other well, because we are in a brotherhood through Christ our Lord. A good example we should follow is Joseph in the Bible, and how he treated Mary, his betrothed, after finding out she is pregnant with a child. Had it was some of the men we have today, they would have publicly ignored and announced their breakup with her in such a way that will make people around laugh, mock, and even belittle her. But it was recorded that Joseph was a noble man. Even though he has already made up his mind that he doesn't want to have anything to do with her, he still didn't want to make a public display of that. He was willing to let her go quietly and respectfully. And another thing is that he didn't just take action immediately. He found out she was heavy with a child. Some of us today go ahead to take action against someone we are in a relationship with, based on what people tell us. We don't sit to make inquiries, and most importantly, take permission from God on what we should do. Rather, we just react to things without thinking, and in so many cases we come to regret those things we do, or say, as a result of that later. Joseph found out about it, but he left it within him and was reminiscing about it throughout the day for a long time. He even had to sleep over the issue, just so he doesn't end up making a mistake. Imagine if Joseph had gone ahead to insult and make a public display of the shameful thing he found out about his fiancée, before thinking of or taking the nap he did. And the angel now told him to go ahead, as planned, to marry Mary. Do you think if he had even gone back to her, she will agree to marry him? I don't think so. She would have rejected him, since he can't even make inquiries about things. He's being told about her without finding out its cause, and knowing if the source of the information is legitimate. The same behavior is required of us, not just men, but even women. Let's learn to treat each other with respect, because we never can tell what the mind of God about who you are mistreating. We represent God on this earth, and we are also God's workmanship. If He didn't treat us badly because of our too many sins, we shouldn't treat anyone bad too. Now, human beings are representatives of God on earth. Therefore, let's treat each other as though we are dealing with God Himself. No one who deals with God with disrespect is worth being called a child of God. So as a child of God, respect everybody and never mistreat anybody. The Lord commanded that if we love Him, we should obey all of His commandments. And one of these commandments is that we should love our neighbors as ourselves. Neighbors, according to the Bible, don't just mean people you share in an area or community with. It rather means the people you come across. Children of God are to love and show kindness to everybody with no bias. Just as Christ died for the whole world with no specific choice or preference. Treat others well, just like you will want to be treated. That is also a saying from another verse in the Holy Bible. Be very careful how you treat others, because what you do to them today will be done to you tomorrow. Therefore, accord every human with respect and dignity they deserve.